What if the smallest object could reopen the deepest wound? In Hope Valley, peace never shatters with a bang, it slips quietly through your fingers. The morning begins with sunlight filtering through the trees and the kind of stillness that makes everything feel safe. Elizabeth watches little Jack race ahead on the trail, laughter echoing through the woods, his father's Mountie medal bouncing proudly against his chest. For him, that medal is not medal and ribbon, it is proof. Proof that his father was brave, proof that he was real, proof that he still matters. And for a brief moment, Elizabeth allows herself to believe that healing has come further than she thought. Then, little Jack stops. The joy drains from his face so quickly it feels unreal. His hands fly to his chest. He checks once, twice, again. The chain is gone. The medal has vanished. And just like that, the forest no longer feels warm. It feels endless. "It's gone," he whispers, and those two words carry more than panic. They carry grief that never finished healing. Elizabeth kneels, searching the ground, scanning the leaves, refusing to accept what her son already fears. But nothing glints in the sunlight. Nothing answers his desperation. When he says, "I lost him," it hits harder than the loss itself. Because this was never about silver, it was about connection. Nathan sees it immediately. This is not a child who misplaced an object. This is a boy reliving the day he lost his father. And here lies the fragile contrast that defines this moment. Elizabeth's instinct is emotional, protective, urgent. Nathan's is steady, grounded, quietly determined. He doesn't overpower the moment. He kneels beside little Jack and makes a promise without dramatics. "We'll retrace every step." His voice doesn't shake. It doesn't need to. In that calm certainty, something shifts. Not replacement, not rivalry, respect. As they walk back down the trail, the mood transforms. Earlier, little Jack ran ahead, fearless. Now every step drags. The woods feel larger, almost watchful. Leaves crunch beneath their boots as they scan the earth inch by inch. The bright optimism of morning has faded into quiet tension. Elizabeth realizes something painful but true. Sometimes love cannot prevent loss. It can only walk beside it. And Nathan, careful not to step into Jack Thornton's shadow, chooses instead to stand beside it. He begins telling stories, small ones at first, how Jack preferred quiet overlooks before returning to town, how he believed protecting people meant listening first. Elizabeth joins in, sharing memories of courage mixed with kindness. The search becomes layered with legacy. With every story, little Jack's breathing steadies. The absence of the medal still hurts, but the fear begins to loosen. Instead of chasing what is missing, he starts remembering what remains. That is the emotional pivot. The medal symbolized what Jack did. The stories reveal who he was, and those two things are not the same. By the time they reach the clearing where the panic first struck, something subtle has changed. The medal is still gone, but little Jack is no longer unraveling, because he is beginning to understand that love is not carried on a chain, it is carried in choices. And yet, the day is far from over, because sometimes losing something forces you to discover what was never truly lost at all. Back in town, life moves as if nothing monumental is unfolding in the woods, and that contrast feels almost unfair. At the cafe, Rosemary is animatedly recounting her latest dramatic triumph, her silent film debut, complete with a scandalous kiss that has already become the talk of Hope Valley. Laughter ripples from table to table, teacups clink, gossip swirls. On the surface, everything feels delightfully ordinary, but beneath the chatter lingers a subtle tension. Elizabeth is not there, and in a town like this, absence speaks loudly. Meanwhile, Bill stands over a desk layered with reports about the Goldie National Park fire. Numbers don't lie, and the evidence is tightening around Pioneer Electric. The possibility of negligence hangs heavy in the air, threatening reputations and relationships alike. Nathan had stopped by briefly before returning to the trail, his mind split between civic duty and personal responsibility. The town wrestles with truth and accountability, while, just beyond its borders, a child wrestles with memory and loss. Two different battles, the same fragile theme. What do you hold on to when something vital feels like it's slipping away? Out in the forest, the sun begins its descent, painting the sky in gold and fading blue. The light grows softer, almost forgiving. Little Jack's shoulders sag with exhaustion. They have searched twice. Every patch of dirt has been examined, every band in the path revisited. The metal has not revealed itself. Maybe it's just gone, he murmurs, and this time his voice carries resignation instead of panic. That shift matters. It shows growth, but it also reveals how quickly children learn to brace for disappointment. Elizabeth feels the sting of that word again. Gone. She knows too well how permanent it can sound. But Nathan kneels once more, this time not as a Mountie searching for evidence, but as a man choosing legacy over loss. He tells little Jack about a mistake Jack once made early in his career, a case he couldn't solve, a weight he carried heavily. Being strong doesn't mean you never lose something, Nathan says gently. It means you keep standing when you do. The wind stirs through the trees, as if affirming the lesson. Then Elizabeth reaches into her coat pocket. She hesitates because what she is about to share is not a replacement for the medal. It is something she had planned to give her son one day when he was older. Wrapped carefully in a handkerchief is another keepsake from Jack's service. Not as visible, not as celebrated, but deeply personal. She unfolds the cloth and places it in little Jack's trembling hands. This isn't the medal, she admits softly, but it's part of your father too. Nathan adds quietly, the medal showed what he did, this shows who he was. Silence follows, but it is no longer heavy, it is grounding. Little Jack studies the keepsake, turning it over in his hands as the last sunlight catches its edges. Something settles inside him. The desperation that once clung to his voice fades. He presses the keepsake to his chest, not out of fear of losing it, but out of understanding. The object matters, but the meaning matters more. The medal may still lie hidden beneath leaves and soil. It may never be found. Yet something more powerful has been recovered. A truth. That his father's bravery does not disappear with a broken chain. That love is not fragile metal. It is story. It is character. It is the way you choose to stand up when life knocks you down. As the three of them walk back toward town, the sky deepens into evening. Nathan does not walk ahead, nor does he linger behind. He walks beside them, not replacing Jack Thornton, not competing with memory, simply honoring it. And Elizabeth sees clearly now that healing does not mean forgetting, it means carrying forward. If this moment moved you, if you believe legacy lives in the choices we make every day, then stay with us. Because in Hope Valley, the quietest moments often change everything.